Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russia,
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. As always, on Wednesday, I'm joined by my host, Burning Bright, and we are coming to you tonight from the past or from the future.
Yes.
I don't know which one.
From the past.
And the future. We're pincering you from both sides.
Exactly. Yeah. One of us is on Thursday and the other one is on Tuesday. We're meeting on Wednesday, and it's up to you to figure out which is which.
Yeah, so good luck with that, because I'm not even sure which one is which. But it's the night before I leave for Guard. It's Tuesday night for me, so it must be Thursday night for you.
Right.
But yeah, Guard. And so we're pre-recording this episode, or past recording. I'm going to do this all night and drive everybody nuts, including myself. It's so stupid. But yeah, so this episode, considering it's recorded at some point not on Wednesday, is going to be probably on the shorter side. And the unfortunate thing is I won't have the chat to distract me. So I'm actually going to have to listen to you when you talk tonight.
Oh, you mean during the show. But this is where the pincer becomes tricameral, because we could be in the chat now. As we speak,
we could be.
The present versions of ourselves could be in the chat trying to unravel the mystery of which is the future and which is the past.
You know what? We should try to talk shit to somebody that we know will be there, that is probably talking shit to us.
Who would it be?
Ash, maybe? No, she'll be in Deadwood.
No.
Wild Boar, I've been
She tried me
there
on Sunday night.
Of course
she ran for the hills quick.
Yeah, maybe we don't have to talk shit. We can just, hey, Bay Theater Dave, I know he's usually in the chat, but he's going to Deadwood too. A lot of our regulars are going to be in Deadwood, man. That's a tough one.
Bay's going to Deadwood. I forgot to ask him. We just did a story hour yesterday night, not immediately before this show. And Bay was in there. He's quite a movie snob.
Yeah.
Which is why we picked some weird 70s movies, and Bay's like, this is a classic of cinema. But sometimes they're just weird, man.
You did the Badlands.
We did.
Last night.
Strange movie.
I was going to watch and join, but tonight is like the last true night of summer for my kids. They go back to school on Thursday. So tomorrow.
What?
Yep. Yeah, I took them today for their like supply drop off and to meet their teachers and stuff. It was like the open house. So I let them stay up a little later.
A lot of kids go back that early?
I think most of the public schools here start next week, but this is a week earlier than they normally do. But I think that everybody's doing it like a week early. But yeah, the Catholic school always starts on the Thursday before the public schools do, here anyway.
See, in my family, I was the one cousin who started early, but for me, early was like the week before Labor Day, not this early.
Is that September?
Usually for me, it was the last week of August, but for all my cousins in this area, it was after Labor Day.
Wow.
It was like September 3rd or something like that they'd go back.
Yeah, it's crazy. My son was so mad.
Then I'd get out like June 5th and be twiddling my thumbs until they all got out of school 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah, my son was so pissed tonight. He's like, I felt like summer was only 2 weeks long. It's like, I felt like it was 2 years long, so we'll meet in the middle and call it the full 3 months that you got. But
I do get it, though, because I remember distinctly feeling like August was the Sunday of summer, and that depression sets in when you're if you hate school, which I did. You're like, man, it's almost up.
That. It's bittersweet for him because my daughter loves school. She's a little nervous with the new teacher, but loves going hang out with her friends. Johnny too, like he loves his friends, but he's not excited about the school aspect of it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be in Deadwood for the first day of school, at least this year. Next year, we're not doing it that way. Next year, our Deadwood Gart will be in June. But anyway, lots of devolution-y stuff to discuss because we are getting more drips from the DECLAS. And the current phase of DECLAS that we're getting is all stuff that we were not told to expect. It's all new stuff. And it's pretty juicy. Some of it's on Adam Schiff. Some of it's on Comey and the leak stuff. It's really good. So we're going to get into some of that. Beyond that, I have no idea what else we're going to talk about because we didn't really do much show prep.
We always manage.
Yeah.
We'll scrounge around.
We will.
This will be this is a good episode to do some table setter stuff because we don't know what will have been happening or what we're told about on Wednesday, but we can talk about stuff that's coming on Friday anyway.
So we could potentially be like, we could try to guess things that'll happen tomorrow and be like really geniuses about it, or we'll look really foolish if it doesn't go that way.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. But before we do any of that, let's get a quick word from our sponsors of tonight's show. First up, we have our good friends over at Lean. Are you a yo-yo dieter? You diet, lose weight, but gain it all back, plus a few extra pounds, and later you lose it and regain it again and again. And Bernie Bright, you can pretty much just interpret this as me talking directly to you.
Yeah.
Minus the lose it part. It's dangerous. Studies show that it can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems, Bernie Bright. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is a main reason that doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. Science behind Lean is impressive. Its studied natural ingredients target weight loss, Bernie Bright, in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. Listen, Bernie Bright, if you're tired of losing weight and gaining it all back, if you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created just for you, Burning Bright. Let me get you started with 20% off when you enter DPH20 at takelean.com. That's code DPH20 and at takelean.com. And before you Karens in the chat get upset, I'm just joking with them, but he's got a little dad bod going on.
Based in reality, yeah. It's like I said, I haven't gotten new shirts, and I feel like if I get new shirts, you've just given up. You've thrown in the towel. My get in shape for GART plan started on like Sunday.
Nice.
So it's not going well. But I did swing an axe around, and my shoulder held. Remember, because I was shamed last Wednesday night for the apple tree.
Yep.
And swung that axe around, chopped a bunch of wood, whole wheelbarrow full of wood.
Nice.
And it held. Everything held. First time I've been able to do that in like literally 10 years.
Was
so
that
good.
The entirety of your getting in shape for GART workout?
One wood chopping routine. No, but I mean, I haven't done actual workouts in probably 10-ish years.
Okay, I was going to say it's probably been about that long.
Because I couldn't. But
it's
looking like I can. So that's a good primer. It's like, all right, everything held.
It's good.
Carrying the 18-pound baby around for hours and hours. I feel like I'm getting in shape from the top down.
I feel like that's what messed up my neck so much. I never used to have neck problems until I had kids, and then I'm a right-hand carry, and it's my right side that's like just messed up. And it's still to this day, like my son, I don't carry him around as much, but my daughter, she's like a daddy's girl and always like, Daddy, carry me. It's like, of course I will.
Yeah.
And she's like 45 pounds now, and it's not good. But that's why I have this bod. It's because as the kid grows, the strength grows with them. Yeah,
I'm starting from up here. Like the arms are coming back, the upper body's coming back. That's where I took the most damage. The dad bod part of it, like we're not there yet. We're doing the reverse pyramid. We're starting at the top and we're slowly working ourselves. Like you don't start a building with the foundation, John. You start with the absolute top of it.
And work your way. That's true. I've heard that.
And then you work your way down.
To be fair, you're getting shape for GART. You didn't specify what year that GART would be in, that you'd be in shape for.
Which
so
GART? That's exactly it.
We have some time. But anyway.
Cocoa Beach 2029.
Or 2030 maybe. But anyway, yeah. So just one more time, if you got a pen, Burning Bright, takelean.com, promo code DPH20. We do have one more sponsor of tonight's show, and that is Brightcore. Did you know a dangerous amount of microplastics are now being found in our water, food, bloodstream, and even our brains? These tiny plastic particles, often invisible to the naked eye, carry toxic chemicals like BPA that disrupt hormones, damage DNA, and inflame our organs. They affect everything from metabolism, Burning Bright, to fertility, and have even been linked to cancer, neurological disorders, autoimmune disease, and development issues in children. The worst part is there's no way to avoid exposure. It's everywhere. But there is a way to fight back. It starts in your gut. Your gut is the first line of defense. A healthy microbiome can bind to and break down microplastic toxins before they poison your cells. But if your gut is compromised, those toxins sneak right through, wreaking havoc on your immune system, energy level, digestion, skin, and even your brain. That's why healing your gut isn't optional anymore. It is essential. Restore your gut flora with the power of Kimchi One, because in a world full of plastic, your gut needs to be bulletproof. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link in the description of this video. Just use promo code Badlands for 25% off your entire order, or you can even get a better deal, 50% off, if you call our friends over at Brightcore, and they'll even give you a free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-652-4131. 1. There we go. All right, let's talk about some recent DECLAS. And I did cover this on my show today, on Tuesday. And I'm going to have to apologize because when you guys are all watching this in the future on Wednesday, I probably have... I said I might do a show, like a short recording of my Wednesday show. But now that it's almost time to do that...
Do you think you did? Yeah.
I did not do that. And so
You know you didn't?
I know I didn't do that.
You 100% know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty positive that's not happening.
Well, future you could actually blame this version of you for making that decision.
Yeah, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and be like, guys, you're going to hear some things later. That
That's not
bullshit.
true.
But this
interested
John,
to see, yeah.
this John is not doing that show tomorrow morning. So apologies. But anyway, on today's show, Tuesday's show, I talked about this stuff already. John Solomon came out. He is the breaking news. I don't even know what's a B word I can use to describe him. He's breaking all the news. Bimbo?
Bro.
That's derogatory.
Breaking news, bro.
I like that. That's good. The BNBs. He's the BNB.
Yep.
And he broke the story, just the news. Democrat whistleblower told FBI that Schiff okayed leaking classified intel to hurt Trump. Now, the story is pretty fascinating in and of itself, just because Schiff on the House Intel Committee, that's a pretty prominent role, being the guy that's like coming out and saying, yeah, guys, we need to find as much information as we can, get it out to the public, and do it to damage Trump. There's a pretty damning section here. I'll just read through some of this here. Following
and
the U.S.
Cash did declass this at your direct request, I think.
He pretty much did. Yeah.
Seems like it.
Literally 10 minutes after I posted this. I've said this so many times now. I almost feel shilly.
The
for
other
doing
Patel
so.
Patriot, Cash Patel.
Yeah. The other John Harold Patriot.
He loves that.
Wait till the day he starts going by Harold Patriot. Then we'll be square. Yeah. Then he'll be grifting off my name. Anyway, so where was I? Following the U.S. presidential election in November 2016, the mood within the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence was indescribable, said redacted. Ranking member Schiff was particularly upset as he believed he would have been appointed as the director of the CIA had candidate Hillary Clinton won the election. That in and of itself, by itself, is pretty nuts that he had that assumption, and people are talking about that. Now, this is a whistleblower. Is there recordings or proof that he said that or believed that? Not as far as we know, but this is pretty damning. And it reminds me of Rodney Jaffe. This is something I mentioned on my show and on Monday night on Baseless. Rodney Jaffe was also promised the top cybersecurity spot by Hillary Clinton, and he's the guy who used the IP addresses to fabricate the Russia connection, Alpha Bank hoax, all that stuff. So there's two individuals now who are expecting jobs, and both those individuals were working with Hillary to vilify Trump by connecting him to Russia. That's notable. And if you want to say anything on that, you can before I go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not shocking to anybody. I guess there's a few things that stand out. I mean, Schiff is such a cartoonish figure in this community that the quid pro quo and all of that is really the point here. But just the idea of if Schiff was going to be in any prominent position, CIA director is particularly disturbing for his whole, besides the fact that he's a wanton criminal, just the whole demeanor that he has is really disturbing. And I think I know that Normieville isn't engaging with these D-classes. They don't even know this stuff is happening. But we have been talking for weeks about the idea that it does codify these things in the public record, and then the stories can be built off of these things. And I think it demonstrates the quid pro quo. And what you're starting to see is that these D-classes seem to be coming, I would say, in a narrative structure where they're building these foundations, and then they're releasing them in a way that starts to move the conspiracy up through various layers of the government. The intel apparatus makes sense. We've been talking for weeks and for years about John Brennan and Comey and all of that. But when you've got, congressmen now being implicated in the same documentation with a tie to Intel, I think what you can start to see is they have planned out who they're kind of targeting in the public declass and in what order they're being targeted in.
Yeah, you know, I can respect how they're doing this too. And the way you just frame that is like they put out some nuggets, right? And first of all, not even that. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And 10 years of a lot of these people coming out and feeling justified in the level of disclosure that we've gotten. And I'm saying, like, people like Adam Schiff and John Brennan and Clapper and these bad actors in the intelligence community and in Congress and these anti-Trump people, they felt justified that there haven't been any criminal trials because they almost feel like they got away with it. And they've been able to come out and continue to push lies. And now that we're starting to get some like little bits of information, they're coming back out and like, oh, you know, this is nothing new. They're doubling down on the lies. And piece by piece, we're getting little bits of truth and more information about the scheme itself, which only makes their double downs look even more ridiculous. Like we're kind of going through some of the same stuff at Badlands, not going to get into details, but just people completely lying and fabricating about us. We've had everything we needed to respond at any point in time. The truth, like we could drop facts, screenshots, all sorts of stuff. Documents, you know me, documents, I have whole dossiers ready to go. But it's like, why bother? They're not actually doing any damage to us.
No need.
And whenever we want to, we will. But the longer we wait, the more they double down in the retardation. And it's only going to make, whenever we do pull the trigger, that much more like of a bombshell in everybody's minds about like, holy cow, that was really bad of them to say all those things because they were clearly not true. That's what I'm seeing playing out here is we're starting to get the little bits. They tried to double down. Last week, 2 weeks ago, Adam Schiff was out there on news channels, John Brennan, Clapper, like they wrote an op-ed in the New York Times saying this is all false. This is not true.
Right.
And then we're getting more stuff that's just like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I can't imagine it's going to get any better for them. And they're only going to continue to double down. It's kind of beautiful.
I like how you laid that out too, because it's if it starts with the Russiagate thing resurfacing. I think the first names this audience thinks of is Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton because of outgoing Obama administration, incoming Clinton administration, right? That's what started the whole narrative. That's what Trump boosted back in 2017 and beyond. But the public declass here started with Intel. Now we're getting into Congress/Intel and how those two things maybe are more incestuous than we've been led to believe. And then the point you just bring up there is the media aspect of this. We have talked on a couple of the Wednesday nights recently about, or at least for me, being particularly curious as to how, like morbidly curious as to how the mainstream media, and when I say that, I'm talking about the ones you mentioned there, the papers of record that I've discussed before, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Wall Street Journals, how do they start covering the covering of this? How do they start covering the declass as we go forward? Because it's strange because I would think on the one hand, you guys gotta pull it back. Like if I'm trying to coach you as your legal representation, you should probably stop tripling down here. But then again, maybe it's the only play available to them because they know better than anybody what they did. And the key word we've discussed forever and that the truth community has discussed forever, knowingly.
Yep.
Media organizations, Intel is the ultimate layer of knowingly, right? The purpose of Intel is to have the information nobody else has and make decisions based on it. But the media is probably that second layer. Even beyond the executive branch, because the Intel keeps things from the executive branch. And we know part of this whole wrap up here is the idea that Intel and media were colluding to essentially surround the actual administration that was in power. So they're one and the same is what we all know. But how much are we seeing, to your point, is Cash and the team baiting these things out in an order not just to tell the story, but to get the media to commit to certain stances publicly or see what they will commit to?
Yeah, and we're going to get into something. The stuff that just came out tonight on Tuesday, like an hour, 2 hours ago, has to heavily do with the media and leaks of intelligence. And what you said there about them circling Trump with this narrative is it was more of a circle jerk around Trump, because what they would do is the intel community would leak bullshit to the media, and then the media would be like, oh, see, this stuff is in the news. We better, like, that's going to be our justification to further this investigation. And it would keep going on and on like that. And they would use each other to push this false narrative that Trump was colluding with Russia. And the whole thing was bullshit to begin with. And both sides knew. But we're gonna get to that. I want to
the Pelosi clip if we haven't played it in a long time.
The wrap up smear, the pap up smear, the wrap up pap smear. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, it's a quick one. I mean, I think this is it. But oops. I'll press it.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're answering another viewer question. Chris Brown from New Merchandise, but tactic called wrap-up smear is real. Here's the clip.
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported.
Some website.
So anyway, that's an infamous clip. It's a commentary around there. But yeah, I mean, Pelosi, I think at that time was commenting on people doing that to her. But she was just giving the playbook of, this is what we do. It's circular reporting is another name for it.
And psyops too. Like it's a popular form of psyops. The intelligence community is very familiar with using it. So I want to keep going here with this one report. The HPSCI minority viewed the election and its aftermath as a constitutional crisis. It's interesting phrasing there. And by February 2017, Redacted stated that all hell broke loose. During a meeting on 13 February 2017, Redacted instructed the staff that he wanted to drive the Russian involvement issue into a joint inquiry, similar to the 9/11 Commission. To do so, they instructed the staffers to use any sources they had developed, the United States intelligence community, to gather information which would then be made public through the media in order to compel public opinion. So they were trying to get the public to demand essentially some sort of investigation into this. Again, further perpetuating this Russia collusion hoax that was a plan approved for by Hillary Clinton. And I do have a video I want to play here that I think is pretty notable. The date that I just read was February 13th of 2017. On February 15th and February 19th, Adam Schiff was on TV doing interviews, and he was talking about leaks. Okay, because if you remember back at the time, Trump himself was all over the leak stuff. Let me show you. Whoops. Let me get to a post here. There's a post from Trump talking about Adam Schiff. Little Adam Schiff, who is desperate to run for higher office, which he did, Senate, is one of the biggest liars and leakers in Washington, right up there with Comey, Warner, Brennan, and Clapper. Adam leaves closed committee hearings to illegally leak confidential information must be stopped. And there's multiple ones. Like Trump had multiple posts about Adam Schiff specifically and leaking. They knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
But let me play this this video here.
The point that
So this first one is from February 15th, again, 2 days after the meeting, where they're like, hey, we need to go and gin up this narrative as much as possible.
Does he have a point that classified info being leaked is the danger?
I think this is a distraction and a sideshow. It's a GOP effort, frankly, to put the leak issue front and center and ignore potential illegality in the White House.
So before we get to the February 19th one, what he's saying there is like, the leak stuff, it is what it is. But just ignore that. That's a distraction because they're trying to cover up the illegality that they're doing in the White House. But Adam Schiff knew there was no illegality taking place in the White House. The whole thing was fake from day one. That's what makes it so much more nefarious. And this is the second part. This is longer, but it's still pretty good. All about leaks.
The president has
that is what she said.
Announced ongoing leaks. He thinks they're coming from the intelligence community. But I want to ask you, doesn't he have a point? I mean,
remember, Adam Schiff is one of the leakers. Adam Schiff ordered his team to leak information.
We have a situation now where the president holds calls with foreign leaders, and not long after, the details of those calls are there to be read by everybody in the newspapers. Aren't you concerned about these leaks?
Oh, I am concerned about leaks, whether it's on the phone calls or leaks pertaining to any investigation into Russian activities in the United States or the Flynn investigation. So, yes, there is a point. At the same time, two things concern me. The first is that he turned these leaks, this problem with leaks, into attack on his enemies. He is now describing the press in terms that we've never heard, at least not since Nixon, and probably not even in terms that Nixon would subscribe to. That is deeply concerning, that he is essentially using this to go after his enemies. And when the president...
So the hypocrisy here. Adam Schiff is literally fabricating information, leaking it to the press to go after Trump, who he considers his political enemy. And Adam Schiff is out here saying Trump talking about the leak stuff is just doing it to target his enemies. The hypocrisy here is retarded.
Yeah, one of the things I've said for a long time is that sometimes they just tell you the truth, and it might be Freudian when they're doing it. But, you know, the easiest example of this is when they say such and such is a threat to our democracy. I don't know if they're being Freudian or if they're doing this on purpose and playing word games. But yes, I agree that Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is a threat to your democracy. And yes, I agree, Adam, that Donald Trump is targeting his enemies. And it just so happens that the enemies of Donald Trump are the enemies of the American Republic and the enemies of the people. And I know it's really obvious and that, you know, you've talked about this or we've already mentioned it. But I think just the framing of the context here of Schiff is not just that he's one of the leakers, like you said. It is the leaker. It's that the impetus for the leaks was pre-agreed to in coordination with U.S. Intel. And again, I know that like our audience understands that, but I think that's kind of the revelation that Cash and company are trying to drive home. It's not just that these congressional swamp creatures were getting access to information and then strategically leaking it, which is already bad. It's that the whole plan in the first place was for them to do that, right? And I do think that that matters because everybody kind of understands, even anecdotally, when you're dealing with any kind of crime, especially a conspiracy, how far back, not just does the crime go, how far back in that crime, what part did you play? How early were you in that crime? Did you receive politically damaging information about a political opponent and then you used that to your advantage? Or did you play a role in fomenting the op in the first place? And it's the latter with Adam Schiff, which is what this new information is showing. We all could have guessed this, but you know, I can see why you were excited about this, especially because we actually didn't have a lot of this codified in the public record where it concerned him in particular.
Yeah, and we have more. I'm going to play a little bit more of this video too.
Focuses on a fight with the press or investigating leaks, but doesn't seem committed to standing up to what Russia is doing at home and around the world. That is of profound concern.
But is it your sense that there are elements of the intelligence community that, frankly, are out to get the president? I mean, he clearly thinks so.
No, I don't have that understanding at all. The intelligence community is very professional. They do their job. They're the best intelligence gatherers in the world. They're dedicated, patriotic Americans. They will work with any president. They want to have a good relationship with every president. And I think these broadsides against the intelligence community are deeply counterproductive. I think central to the president's calling for a leak investigation is the president didn't want to fire Mike Flynn. But when the press exposed that falsehood, he felt compelled to do so. Because, of course, the president knew weeks ago and weeks before Flynn was let go that he had misled the vice president and in turn misled the country. And the president was okay with that. It was only when it was disclosed that he had a problem. And that's what he's upset about. And that makes this, I think, different in kind than some of the other leak investigations we've had, where we've investigated people who leaked secrets that undermined our country because they gave up valuable sources of information. This is not in that category. This is in the category of wrongdoing that was exposed.
Does he have...
In hindsight, you can clearly, like, he's basically admitting it. He's like, whoever these leakers are heroes because they're exposing wrongdoing when it wasn't an actual wrongdoing. It's just fascinating to look at that in hindsight. Again, just days after that meeting where he ordered them to start leaking information to their partners in the media.
It's like watching a crime thriller that you've seen before. And maybe you were guessing it all right the first time you watched it, but you still don't know that you're guessing it right. But when you're rewatching it, there's all the little tells that are like, And another point here, speaking of media, speaking of Schiff, you've got to look at the collusion of the interviewer and interviewers in these cases, right? So we're talking about Schiff was part of this op from the beginning, leaked the intel knowingly, all the rest of it. But it is really a feedback loop when he's then being paraded around the media at this time. Look at the way that the media mouthpieces are leading the conversation in a way to allow him to take all these off ramps to keep the central narrative going. They might not be read in, like this guy who's interviewing him in that specific clip, might not be read in on the origins of the op, but are absolutely operating under the framework of the overall op, which is do not nail Adam Schiff. These are the talking points, because they know that he's going to be able to navigate that. And their intention is not only not to incriminate Adam Schiff, it's to make sure that the crime Adam Schiff is involved in is successful.
Yeah, so everything you said is spot on. This gets even better or worse, depending which side of things you're on. So do you remember from the classified appendix of the Durham report, we got this one email here. Let me share my screen. It was this email where this is like what we intercepted from Russian intelligence showing that Hillary Clinton approved the plan. This is what they had. They knew that she approved the plan to vilify Trump. The Julia in here, HRC approved Julia's idea. That Julia is this Julianne Smith. Clinton approved a plan proposed by one of her foreign policy advisors, Julianne Smith, to smear Donald Trump by magnifying the scandal tied to the intrusion by Russians, blah, blah, blah. So remember that name, because Sean Davis fed through some of this Adam Schiff stuff through AI. And one of the individuals here that is leaking stuff, part of the operation to leak stuff to the media, she's married to a reporter for the Baltimore Sun. Supposedly he does not do any intelligence reporting. However, he had a job, on and on and on. He fed it through AI, and AI spit back this name. Which HPSCI staffer who worked at the committee under Adam Schiff in 2017 has a spouse who worked at the Baltimore Sun and was later hired at the Washington Post? And this name, Rhiannon Workala, comes up. So if you go to some digging on Rhiannon Workala, you can come across her profile here on this group that's for Clarion Strategies. Okay, the Honorable Rhiannon Workala. National Security, worked at the House Intelligence Committee, all these things. Well, wouldn't you know, another co-founder of that same group is Julianne Smith. Wow. And, of course, Lloyd Austin. But yeah, these two are working together right now. They're co-founders of this Clarion strategy.
This is that public-private partnership world that, we've been talking about forever, and that I think Patriots, reversed. Hit him with the reverse Uno card.
Yeah.
And this shows you, a little sub note, is that this does show you, for everybody that freaks out about AI, and one of the reasons I'm constantly pushing back on that, AI is a human extender. And that can be bad, and that can be very good, because it can do things that we can't do. And then you, the human, verify those things. Follow the rabbit trails.
Hell yeah. So just I thought that was super interesting. Great find by Davis. I did find a couple other things. I don't know if I'm going to go into too much detail on these right now because I haven't fully fleshed it out, but I've been doing some timeline digging, like comparing notable things that take place from these DECLAS. So I looked at the February 13th time frame, and there are articles that came out being leaked around that time, and there was some interesting movement from Rodney Jaffe and what he was doing with Sussman and the Alpha Bank hoax. So there are some interesting things that happened around that time, which is notable. But we can move forward now to what came out today. And I think probably the best way to do that is let's go to The Storm Has Arrived and show this video. It's a little long, but worth it in my opinion. That's what she said.
This is a very long piece that you have here.
That's also what she said.
Yeah, definitely.
It is a worthwhile read. I'll let you sum it up, and then I want your conclusion on what you're finding here, because to me it's very damning.
Well, what you find out is that James Comey decided not to work through the FBI press office when he wanted to change the narrative in Washington, burnish his reputation against attacks from Democrats, and try to sully Donald Trump's reputation. If you remember, Democrats were mad that James Comey let out of the bag just before the election that there might be some new evidence in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Hillary blamed Comey for throwing the election. She blamed the Russians for throwing the election. She blamed everybody but herself for throwing the election for her. But Comey was trying to rehabilitate that. And so he had an intermediary, a Columbia law professor by the name of Daniel Richman, who the FBI confirmed and interviewed. And Richman said, yes, I used my relationship with a New York Times reporter named Michael Schmidt. He's one of the authors of the Pulitzer Prize winning package that President Trump is now suing over. And my goal was to improve negative stories about James Comey and to set a narrative, i.e. set the Russia collusion narrative. This guy worked around the official channels of the FBI press office. And at one point, the FBI noted, you met with James Comey. He gave you access to classified information. A short while later, you had a conversation with that New York Times reporter, and he ends up reporting something that appears to be classified. Did you do it? And he gives, I think, perhaps the most famous denial people will remember, since Bill Clinton says it depends what the meaning of the word is when he tried to obfuscate whether he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. He says, I can say, I don't think I confirmed the information. I can say with a discount that I didn't give him the classified information. With a discount means you got to give me some room. It's an extraordinary moment. The FBI clearly had strong suspicions that this was a potential backdoor for information, maybe classified information, to get out to the media with James Comey's fingerprints on it. And they didn't go much further. They didn't put Comey before the grand jury, that we can tell. They didn't appear to put this gentleman, Daniel Richman, before the grand jury. And like Adam Schiff, as we told you last night, here they have an eyewitness whistleblower who said, I was in the room when he authorized leaks of intel. These end up being a dead end again. And it's another reminder of a dual system of justice that the Justice Department had the last 6 years. These are documents that were never given to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan confirmed that to me today. And we're just learning 8 years later, because of what Kash Patel turned over, that the FBI had all the evidence of how the false narrative of Russia collusion was spread across this country to the detriment of voters, to the detriment of President Trump's first campaign, and they did nothing about it.
It's a credit to the FBI. It's a credit to Kash Patel. It's a credit to the people that are involved in sharing this information now with the public. Do you see legal jeopardy here?
I think if Pam Bondi goes the grand jury route, that these are people that are going to be hauled before the grand jury. I want to remind people, most classified information statutes have a 5-year statute of limitations, but there is a provision that extends it to 10 years if it's willing and knowing. And there is some pretty clear evidence of a strong apparatus put in place to make these leaks occur, according to the FBI documents. I think a grand jury could go back and try to compel testimony and find out if it rises to the level of criminality. Tomorrow, though, I think we're going to take people on a new destination, which is, how often did the FBI get blocked in trying to investigate Hillary Clinton corruption at the Clinton Foundation? You're going to be shocked by the answer.
Damn, teaser. I didn't even watch the full clip earlier. More classified documents. I'm going to be driving to Deadwood. I might have to skip Deadwood, guys.
They really are, and they queued up the Trump-Putin Alaska summit when we're there. Like,
no, I swear, Putin's and Trump are actually meeting so Putin can hand him a bunch of the evidence that he has on Hillary Clinton. But no, so that's what we got tonight, and what, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that we got. You were talking about earlier these FBI agents, and Schiff was saying how they'll work with any president. They're good people. And just to point out this Peter Strzok and Lisa Page text message, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? No, he won't. We'll stop it. Well, one of the things that came out of the new stuff today, which, by the way, the Richmond side of things, there's actually, it's not new. Because if you go and look at the, one of the things we got from the IG a long time ago is this one, the investigation into the Comey memos. He had a series of memos from his meetings with Trump, and he gave them to Richmond. Like his name is listed in this report, 83 pages. His name is listed in here 122 times. Comey told the OIG that he made the decision to provide the contents of Memo 4 through Richmond to the New York Times so that the president's request of Comey to let Flynn go would be in the public square. It's just, it wasn't really necessarily new, but what I think is happening with some of these disclosures is they're coming out with this stuff, and it's stuff that we already assume to be true, but there's things in here that I'm like, this is the actual big story here, but the media is not drawing attention to that. Why are they not drawing attention to that? Like even going back to that whistleblower we got from before that was looking into the IP addresses and then later stated, yeah, I think that was like what Jaffe was doing. I think we came across Jaffe and I was told to shut that down. Nobody in the mainstream media was talking about that. But that's the biggest takeaway for me. The biggest takeaway from today's disclosure was this, in my opinion anyway. Newly declassified documents show that Comey ordered the FBI to assist the New York Times in writing one of their articles. As part of the FBI's assistance, FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were interviewed by the New York Times. Maybe call me old-fashioned, but I'm pretty sure an intelligence agency shouldn't be assisting a media organization unless like it's pure propaganda and you're trying to push the narrative you want. And in this case, that narrative is that Trump colluded with Russia. And it's just fascinating. The two people they send are the two lovebirds who have a huge history of anti-Trump rhetoric. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are some of those proofs that seem so obvious to us because part of this whole community has been built on this stuff. Even going way back on the Badlands Substack, not only is there something coming out, I think, on Thursday from Ryan DeLarme, who's writing over there, but that he's written about quite a bit in the past on that Substack, is about the church committee, and going back decades, U.S. Congress talking about supposedly disclosing these kinds of ties. This audience understands that when we talk about the media being the enemy of the people and Donald Trump brands them as the enemy of the people, it's not because they're saying mean words to him. It's not because it's not even because their goal is to destabilize the American Republic. If that's your goal, like this is going to sound weird, but if you're running a media outlet and you hate the Republic and you hate the country, you can write whatever you want about it to try to steer it in the direction you want it to go in, right? You are totally protected to do that. What you cannot do is work for the government to destabilize the Republic on behalf of traitors to the Republic. And that's what's going on here. And again, to a lot of people in this audience, it's going to be like, well, of course, we already knew that. Yeah, but we've got official declassification showing you the order of operations. And that's the key. We would already assume collusion in this audience between the New York Times and Intel when we see those narratives coming out at the time. We all thought that at the time. But now we know the order of operations. And to put a button on that, what have we been talking about forever, and especially in recent weeks? RICO, grand conspiracy, as Solomon keeps talking about. Well, this is showing you that this isn't this one in particular that you highlighted. This isn't even just gravitational pull of the media. It's not just wrap-up smear, because the reason they use the wrap-up smear is because the wrap-up smear legally protects them. If they can constantly pass the buck off of, I'm not reporting anything, I'm reporting that somebody else is reporting something. That's not what we have here. What you're highlighting here is I knowingly engaged in intel agency propaganda to the audience of the New York Times without disclosing that to the audience. And that is flatly illegal unless the one piece of wiggle room I don't know if they would try to use. But It's going to be interesting to see if they get to the point where they try to say we were wielding propaganda against the American people and we were allowed to because of the Smith Modernization Act. And if they do say that, I would still count that as a massive win, because it's going to be the media telling their audience that they were engaging in fake news. It's always been fake news. Fuck you for believing it.
Yeah. I mean, what you said there is, it nails it. And the part that I think is hilarious about this all is places like the New York Times, they got the Party of False Decorum ultimate badge of honor for doing this whole thing in the Pulitzer Prize, and which Trump is suing them for. They got Pulitzer Prizes for writing this stuff, which they were getting from the FBI. Like the FBI themselves should be the ones that get the Pulitzer Prize based on what we're seeing here. The mainstream media being exposed as literally just a mouthpiece for the regime and these intelligence community apparatuses. I mean, that is only a good thing, and it needs to happen. It should have happened a long time ago. The Smith Modernization Act, people always ask, like, why didn't Trump just flip that around? Part of it is because maybe him just doing that willy-nilly wasn't going to actually fix anything. Maybe you needed, some consensus from the people. Like, why is the mainstream media allowed to do this and participate in this stuff? This isn't real journalism. This is propaganda, pure and simple, and maybe even worse than that. And so it's fascinating to see like the disclosure of this coming out in real time. And again, this isn't even necessarily what people are drawing attention to.
Right.
It's the other stuff. This is damning. The FBI assisting a journalist, or a New York Times, whatever, to write a fucking article. It's insane to me.
And I know you know this, but it's almost like you can invert that framing, even the way we're framing this whole discussion, and it's as damning or more damning. You said the intel agencies assisting the New York Times. You could say the New York Times assisting the intel agencies, right? You could easily run parallel tracks here because it's the same thing, and ultimately they're tied together. And yeah, I do think there's something to what you say about Smith Modernization Act in terms of public consensus. Leaving aside what actuals it would have accomplished if Trump just came in and repealed it or repealed it during his first term. He wants the public consensus to do these things, but I don't think it's just because he's waiting for consensus to do the moral or right thing. There's an argument to be made as a moral maximalist or absolutist that you just got to do those things. We talk about this a lot in terms of justice, in terms of elections that you talk about all the time. At a certain point, whether or not you have consensus, you got to do the right thing. So I would agree with that. But with Smith Modernization, this goes full circle. Who passed that? The Obama administration, right? So it's like, look at the entire... This thing, I called it in an article I wrote a week ago, the Ouroboros. This is the true Ouroboros pattern, the serpent devouring its own tail. No matter which avenue you take of these declassifications, you cannot get away from Barack Obama. You can't get away from that. Every little river you take, even the New York Times coordinating with Intel, using, if we're right, and if they're going to, testify under oath, because you'd have to think some of these people are going to be called in to testify. Some of these journalists, I mean, are they going to lean on Smith Modernization? And then the American people get to ask that all-important why. And every road leads back to Barack Obama transformed the American media into de facto propagandists to your point, actual, legally codified political propaganda arms.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got to show you this. Fuck Obama, by the way. Okay, so what we got tonight from John Solomon, he's kind of doing it in a dirty way. The Federalist also got this stuff. They got the full 266 pages of documents, just like John Solomon did. John Solomon only put out like 70-some pages or 69 pages, and he's like milking it, I guess. Sean Davis over at the Federalist also obtained it. Says, because we believe in the right of the public to access and analyze these documents in their entirety, we're making the entire file available to everybody. Link in the comments. And so
this
the full
is the kind of shit posting I can get on board with.
Yeah, this is perfect. Like, so the full thing's out here. Look at all these things. And I was just skimming through some of it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hopefully I didn't skip too far ahead. Damn it. No, did it do it? Hold on. I want to get back to what I just read because that was crazy. There was a whole bunch of articles out here that they had listed that showed. Oh, come on. What did I do?
Do you remember the wording?
It was just like a whole list of articles that were written that they believed to have classified information
that they were knowingly handling on behalf of U.S. intel.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, like how many. I think this is the one right here. It's in this one. Oh, no, but it was a bunch of stuff, and like it was about Obama and all these other things. But it just shows like how often the intelligence community was leaking to the mainstream media. Right here, look at just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 articles right here, just in January and February, and this is in like less than a month. All of them that they said had varying amounts of classified information, which is why they had to open this investigation. It's just insane how much they were doing this.
Yeah, and again, the straw man, or I should say the steel man argument among systemites and retards is, and never Trumpers would be, well, sources and methods, right? This is one of the biggest con jobs as somebody who went to school for journalism. This is one of the things you're kind of inundated with and propagandized with. Ironically, you're being told the whole time that the sources and methods defense is the antithesis of propaganda. That's how you make sure you're not dealing in propaganda, because you get to protect your sources and methods from who? From the government. That's why you're not a propagandist. But look at how this can be turned around. It's not just that they're dealing in classified intelligence. It's what we're, big point tonight is that they are being given the intelligence they're being given knowingly false intelligence in order to disseminate the propaganda, and again, on behalf of the government. So now we've gone full circle where the sources and methods debate argument was supposed to be anti-propagandist, and it's literally being used to fuel and shield propaganda.
One of the things that's fitting about this is that we have GART this coming weekend, and one of our panels that I'm going to be on is the future of the intelligence community. And when all is said and done with this, I don't know how we have an intelligence community. We're going to talk about this, but the intelligence community in its current form, the way it's allowed, and the fact that it was able to do shit like this and then bury it in classified documents in these investigations, we're lucky. I guess maybe not lucky, because there's more going on behind the scenes. Devolution, there's a little more planning going on, but we're blessed that they were able to do this the way they did, and we're able to even witness what these people actually did. And it's much more nefarious than even just leaking to the press. The stuff that they've buried on behalf of some of these regime characters is insane. But how do they survive beyond what we're witnessing here? I don't know. There's going to have to be some clear reforms, and I don't even know if I want you to answer that. And if you can. Briefly.
No, I would disagree. I mean, I think you mentioned with John Solomon, actually, and I'm not trying to throw stones. We kind of all get what's going on here. But the Sean Davis, John Solomon thing, it's a little bit of an example of what you're talking about, even from the good guy perspective of saying, okay, motherfuckers, we understand why you're doing the drip, drip, flood. As long as this is really the last time and we're not doing this again in the future.
Well, and with that, like, it's what's frustrating about the drip flood and only giving it to like a certain group of people to do it. And I'm very happy Sean Davis did this, because like I said, the stuff that I think is most important and most damning is not what John Solomon's talking about. And John Solomon's not a stupid guy. He's also a very well-connected guy. He knows where this is going. Is there a reason he's not talking about the stuff that others are considering more damning? And I'm a little biased. Like, the stuff I think is damning is not what other people think are damning, or what other people, but it's like some of the things here are obvious damning and stuff that Trump has talked about. And it's just weird. Like, is he being told not to talk about those things when they put this stuff out there? And that's like part of why he's getting access. But I don't think that's the case. I don't know. But it is weird. I don't like being a company, Badlands, that puts everything out for free other than our conferences. But even that we do eventually put out for free months later on YouTube through when we do our exclusive live streams through Rumble. We also stream those to YouTube. So eventually, long term, those end up coming out too. But everything is nothing's behind a paywall. We don't believe in that stuff, and so getting the documents and slowly dripping them out like that, I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, and again, it's the Watchman quote: "Without condemning nor condoning, I understand." We can understand, but there's an if that we have to assign to this, and it's an if that I think we all are in this whole audience are fairly aligned on, is that the intentions are good here. Like, hey, we got to get we're trying to. Here's another way of looking at this, actually, because I think we believe that Patriots, White Hats, Trump, Kash Patel, current intel is trying to do the right thing. So they have a reason for the drip, drip, flood. Maybe often, though, we're considering this, this is all about narrative. I'm obviously obsessed with narrative, and I'm biased in my own way to look at everything that way, which allows me to make a lot more excuses for why they do things like this than maybe you're predisposed to make. But another way of looking at this and the drip, drip, flood is to say, we need to keep in mind they are still actively engaged in an intelligence war against these people that they're declassing about, right? So if we want to just extend a little more benefit of the doubt and say this isn't all about the narrative, this is also, you consider each one of these declassifications ammunition, to use the kind of truth community refrain. And you can say, hey, they are trying to bait out certain moves. They know who is involved in this stuff. I don't think it's all about public narrative, because as you often point out on this show, Normanville doesn't give a shit about any of this because they don't even know what's going on. At some point they will, because you're not going to be able to ignore trials, etc. But I think that explains one of the other reasons they do this is to say we are still engaged actively in an intel war, and we literally have to hold our fire with some of these things.
There's something interesting I found here. Where the fuck did that go? Okay, here. Oh, please go back to the same part. Okay. The captioned investigation is... Let me back up even. FBI Washington Field Office opened the captioned full investigation based on redacted, dated 7/25/2017. So they didn't open it for a while. Reporting the unauthorized disclosure of redacted, classified information in an article published on 12/14/2016. So it took a long time to open it, but the date is interesting. Subject matter experts determined the articles disclosed redacted information up to the redacted level. Here's the article. William Arkin, Ken Delanian, and Cynthia McFadden, U.S. officials, Putin personally involved in U.S. election hack. Sorry, I'm going to be jumping around here a little bit because I want to pull up a couple things. I think this, where's the first one here? Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay, so do you remember when Tulsi Gabbard put out that timeline of things? So she put this out. Oh, that's the wrong one. The memo. Here we go. This one. So December 9th is when they had that meeting, right? And that's when they come out and saying like, hey, we need to tie this to Russia much more directly. December 14th, IC officials again leaked to the media, this time claiming that IC officials believe with a high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack. So this is the leak they're talking about. And I'm trying to find that actual article right here. But anyway, the name that's sticking out to me is that William Arkin. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that wrote that first article having to do with devolution in Newsweek. Yeah, right here. Look at this. Exclusive. Inside the military's top secret plans of coronavirus cripples the government by William M. Arkin. Same guy who's listed on here. William M. Arkin. That is fascinating. I wonder why it took so long for them to open that investigation, though. Anyway, I'll dig into this stuff later. I got to stop looking at this stuff while you're talking. So I completely ignore everything you said, and I said I wasn't going to do that tonight.
No, that's good. It's again. I was just saying that this is an active intelligence battle space, and I think the good thing is that the declass happening and Trump being back in, etc., publicly, devolution being maybe in a different phase than it was, signals positive momentum and a position of strength, relative strength. But as we always talk about, the enemy gets a vote. I think they're hemmed in. I think their options are very limited. It seems to me like the way Cash and team are deploying this stuff, and even the way Trump is operating, is that we're at the phase where they're choosing the manner of their demise at this point. All the different factions that we're talking about, like how deep do you want to go on this? How many more are you going to flip? But it was just to say that it's not just about narrative construction, why they drip these things out. It's also because there are active nodes on the battle space. And it is a preview of the discussion you mentioned at GART, of the Intel discussion, but it's one I'm certainly fascinated by. I mean, I know it's a cliche in the truth community, but it's one for a reason. John F. Kennedy, one of the greatest quotes of all time, is the very word secrecy is repugnant to a free and open society. And it just is, right? Like I'm sympathetic to arguments about why secrets are kept. I'm not you don't have to be an idiot to not understand that. But, there should be the intention of getting to a place where none of that is necessary in the future. But how do you get there? Does that mean everybody ultimately gives up privacy? It gets very thorny.
Yeah. And one of the things too that's nice about the leaks and the drips that we're getting is if they just put everything out at once, it would be too much. It would be impossible, I think, to consume it all and put it in the proper story format that is needed to get people to understand why they're going to be pursuing the indictments and whatnot, the criminality of it, like they are. We've had a huge base layer of information over the past 10 years, but they're leaking stuff in the order of operations, as you said earlier, that is needed to build the case to make it much more presentable and palatable for the people as to what really went on here. And first it starts with, okay, obviously we're showing you that the intelligence community had intelligence that Hillary wanted to do this, and then they participated with her in fabricating this intelligence hoax. And now we're starting to see how they did that is by pushing the investigation in certain directions, ignoring certain intelligence that they didn't fit their narrative, fabricating intelligence that did fit their narrative, and then pushing that stuff to the media. That's the phase we're at now, is pushing stuff to the media. I imagine it's only going to get worse as we go. It's going to have to.
Yeah. But. Yeah, and analogy I'd made a couple of weeks ago is often Trump himself. Trump refers to himself as a counter striker, and I've written about that for years of what I think that means from a combat sports perspective, but really from a strategy perspective. But I actually had said, this reminds me of a George St. Pierre strategy, which was not counter striking. It was actually essentially called overloading. And he kind of created that fighting style and then only disclosed it in retrospect because he wasn't going to tell everybody what he was doing. And that's what I feel like 2025 is. It's not just baiting things out there because you hope the enemy is going to then incriminate themselves further. We've got to believe that at this point in time, they've got the evidence of the things, right? We're not getting DECLAS at this point. If they're like, we just, if only Adam Schiff would say the wrong thing in an interview in 2025, then we can really get him. I don't think that's what's going on. To your point, I think there's narrative, but I do think that part of this drip strategy is to paralyze those mouthpieces, because every little drip that comes out, I think sometimes it's less about us and the American people, and it's more about, this is what we have on you guys, and a little bit more is going to come out on Wednesday, and a little bit more on Friday, and you can kind of see that it's keeping a lot of these people and the media frozen. Like they don't really, I don't think I'm seeing a big counter push about this stuff coming out here. In fact, you could argue that the counter push is the Epstein narrative, which is why the media is pushing that. They don't want to talk about any of this. They're not refuting it or anything. They just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and it's weird. That thing's kind of fallen on its face. And even though we're not getting what the public is demanding from that, people are I'm not really seeing people all up in arms about it. We've had another grand jury transcript request got shut down. I think there's one more out there maybe. And if that gets shut down, then we're not getting any disclosure from it. And it is what it is. But You know, I mentioned that we're going to talk about the intelligence community at GART. I do want to do a quick promo for that real quick. So let me play this.
Can't make it to Deadwood? No problem. Join us virtually for the 9th stop on the Badlands Great American Restoration Tour. Streaming live August 15th through 17th from legendary Deadwood, South Dakota. Experience GART from anywhere with our exclusive virtual live stream ticket. Your pass unlocks front row access to lively discussions and the premiere of Codex 9/11. All from the comfort of your own home. Make new friends and have your questions answered live from the group chat. Grab a ticket to join us in Deadwood. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/Deadwood and get your pass today.
Get those tickets, guys. It's going to be a great time. That's why we're not here live. We're both going to be, well, I guess you won't be there, but I'm going to be in Deadwood hanging out with the peeps down at the bar. Maybe I'll do some videos and post them in the Telegram chat, which you'll get access to with a virtual ticket. badlandsmedia.tv/events. Get those tickets.
In Brad's documentary, that should be interesting. I'm looking forward
I can't
to
wait. I can't wait to see. He's been working on that for so darn long. I'm excited for him.
That'll be fun.
Very excited. I know it's kind of been a short one. I feel like we had a good discussion, though, and I'm probably about ready to wrap this up for tonight and go start and finish packing. Because I have not done that yet.
We'll do a live commentary on Friday of the Sovereign Bros, the Super Friends meetup.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do something on that. We'll have to figure it out, but it'll only be for GART ticket holders, so get your tickets. Yeah. We're gonna do a little promo outro because also this Friday they picked a great date for the meeting in Russia because that's also the date that we are launching something here at Badlands that we're very excited about. We've been working on it for quite some time now, and it's gonna be exciting. So hit that thumbs up, everybody. We appreciate you. Get your GART tickets.
I had a couple boosts from last week that we'll forget to get to.
Oh, you just totally ruined my flow. But yeah, go for it.
Ruin the outro, but we'll forget them. Hangman from the Gallows. Oh no, that's for daily. What do you think? Send $10 over. Have you guys heard about the Promethean updates? Listening is tied together so much that you've been talking about the drops and what Gordon's been talking about. Thought of you when listening. I have not heard of this, the Promethean updates. But thanks for the support. Thomas Times. Oops, that was the wrong one. Nope, that's it. We're caught up.
Well, that was easy.
All right, anyway. Would you like to redo your terrible outro?
Yeah, hit the thumbs up, get your GART tickets. Burning Bright, buy some lean. Don't forget.
How dare you.
And with that, guys, you guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you this week at the conference.